And that tiger, I stared him straight in the eyes and I told him off straight to his face. He still didn't listen.
No,
I got the scars to prove
it. Tigers rarely listen. I don't know.
Terrible. At least it wasn't a cat, Scratch my eye out, stupid stupid Captain Marvel writing. Oh, it's just a scratch. And then the Skrull guy's going. He didn't say nothing. It's not like, oh no, that cat's got a big infection. You're gonna lose your freaking eye.
I know.
He just shook his head and said, "Stupid Skrull." I'd hate him after that, just for that reason.
I'm surprised there wasn't it was like an infected eye. Starting off, I know it's indie comic talk, but I did happen to come across Endgame.
Is there a YouTube link?
There is. It's not a YouTube link. There's a link to a foreign YouTube like site. I'll send you the link tonight.
I promised to post a link. I told everybody it was YouTube.
Oh, a link for this.
I thought you meant not YouTube.
I thought you meant a link. No, I thought you meant a link for the scenes.
You're talking about your porn again. Oh, the Endgame stuff?
Yeah.
Somebody leaked that online?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Send me that link.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances.
Let me see here. I will
Holy crap, did you watch any of it?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I have to ask, they go up to Titan 2 and they go to fight Thanos, right? Does he take Captain Marvel and Disintegrator?
No, and spoiler alert for everyone.
Those bastards lied.
I've only seen like 5 to 7 minutes of scenes.
Oh, okay. So you haven't seen it all.
Yeah,
so it's still possible.
No, yeah, it's still possible. But from what I've seen, Captain Marvel is a lot closer in appearance to the Captain Marvel we're in the comics at a point in this movie.
They grab her and shave her head. They make her put on a proctology glove. Get ready, you stupid males.
It was
no, I'm not going to be the next Tom Cruise. I'm going to be the next Brie Larson.
Oh, you seen that, huh?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that was
that's a classic Forrest Gump moment. Stupid is as stupid does.
I'm gonna send you the link right now to the
YouTube thing.
Yep.
Yeah, do that. We are live. They'll have to go back and see the stuff before this. See, they caught a lynx up in the thumb area.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Went and released it up in the UP.
People who are watching away from Michigan shaped like a mitten, and when we say the thumb area, I guess you'd be looking at this side. I'm not sure, but when we say the thumb area, we mean that.
I think that's right. It looks right on my camera. It's up here. Instead, they put it up here.
Yeah.
They moved it up into the rabbit. It's a mitten and a rabbit.
Yeah. It's
welcome to Michigan.
Yeah.
Or we can tell directions by our hands. So you can do that with Florida too. It's just not pretty.
So,
well, most people can. Well, most men can do that with Florida. It's just not pretty.
You need to go down there, right there. You gotta drive about maybe 30 miles up the shaft.
Well, first you have to stroke it a little bit in order to get it to look right. And okay, here we go. No, that's over the line.
I was asked.
Do I have a YouTube link? Did you send it to my Facebookie?
I did send it. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna share that really quick here.
Okay.
Copy link. You can keep talking. I can hear you. I'm just not, where my camera is pointing.
I was asked a couple questions. They started coming in on Thursday about the convention. We're not saying the name. We're not saying the name of the convention that we talked about last week.
Are we still back on that?
Well, I was asked a couple questions about it.
Is that guy real? Was that guy for real? Where's
What
my common decency? How do we get a pimp outfit to that guy?
what can we do as I got some questions here. What can we do as artist alley vendors to stop the spread of that type of system, and can we stop it at that show?
I think first off, you need a little self-esteem. All of the artists just need to get together and decide that show has never liked comics ever. And they treat everybody there as second-class citizens. I used to have the same problem when I did gaming shows, that they used to consider the comic people as like the crap on the bottom of their boot. And they that whole attitude just needs to be walked away from. That's the best thing that you can do for this guy, is all of a sudden, boom, there's no artist alley for comics. Just gone. He doesn't want you there anyway.
I think that
it's that simple.
It's
that simple. If he wanted you there, he wouldn't treat you like dirt, or like your streetwalker.
I think that he obviously I think he got burned by some artists really badly.
No, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it at all. I don't. Not anymore. Not, I know who it is, and we're not going to name him just out of decency. But that, like I said, that convention has never liked comics. They've never liked comic artists. They've never gotten along with the comic people. They've always treated them like second-class citizens. And now that I know who they are, it doesn't surprise me. Their whole attitude.
But we still need to go to Costumes USA and get Pick by Pimp costume. Send it on that.
Well, the depending upon the leadership there, because a lot of that stuff's committee. So it's all these guys are all gaming and cosplayers and all this, and just comics to them are the bottom scum on their boot. That's exactly how they look at it. That's how they've always looked at it, But yeah, they would probably think it was funny. They wouldn't take you seriously. The best way to seriously treat that problem is not to be there, not to let that guy, one, sell you a table for $300 freaking bucks, and two, take 20 freaking % of anything that you earn while you're there, and three, make you jump through hoops and make sure all your paperwork's in order, when it's actually your personal responsibility to make sure your own paperwork's in order. You got to have some self-esteem about this stuff.
The thing is, when some of the artists I spoke to, they told me like they weren't even really mad about the 20%. They were really upset more about the 6 to 8 weeks until they got their money.
Well, it's because he treats them like crap.
Yeah, they've been conditioned.
Yeah. Oh, that's how they operate. That's how I'll go. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Like I said, if I was in the area, see, I've never done that show. That's why I've never heard of that policy before, and why it seems so wackadoo to me. So I'm up here in Michigan. So, and that shows across the country. So, I'd set up shop in a venue as close to them as I could possibly get and do a counter con for comics.
Yeah.
The guy who wanted to do that, especially with some of the controversy that this show's had in the past, they can't have that good of a reputation after all this time. There's been, well, just like every long running convention, you get your bad apples and your controversies and stuff like that. So
yeah,
but yeah, I've attended a few gaming conventions in the past that treated the comic book people like they were second-class citizens, and I resented it. But some of the shows I had a good time because they were, one show had a really good adult floor and the other one was open 24/7. It's the first time, pardon me, it was the first time I was at a con that actually went 24/7. And they went when they said they were going 24/7. The Hucksters room was only open from 9 to 5, but there was stuff going on 24/7. That convention was amazing. That was out in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. That was a hell of a drive, but I made no money at that show. I was invited out. It was back when I was doing Arrow Comics, because I brought all of the Arrow I did a lot of bizarre shows back when I was printing Arrow Comics. I did as many shows as I could get my butt to. And it was a hell of a show. It was a great time, but I didn't make no money. I didn't lose a lot of money that I remember, but I know I didn't make any.
One of the next questions that we had that came in is and you could probably, I mean, you've been around long enough to be able to, you've seen this happen before.
You've got that listed as industry talk. Okay. Oh yeah.
Are there too many artists / creators trying to be the next big thing? Should they throw in with another company? So
should they what with other companies?
Should they throw in with another company? Because you got, every Tom, Dick, and Harry that can hold a pencil, basically starting a press, starting a publishing company. Should people look for a publisher that's more established? I mean, right now, you walk through a Comic-Con, you've got, in Artist Alley, you got publishers.
Mm-hmm.
Any given point at any Comic-Con, I'm gonna say you got about 25 to 30, various publishers of various
at a big show, yeah.
And out of those 30, maybe 5 are actually publishers, and maybe out of that 5, only 3 are, putting out, content regularly.
Well, with the publishing companies, it's not how big you are, it's how big they think you are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whatever you have to do in order to look big. But as far as companies go, the only problem with the company end is getting Diamond to take you seriously. If you really want to get to a point where you can actually try to make some money, other than that, you're just a vanity publishing house, unless you build up some sort of distribution system and you're actually pulling some sort of profit. But there's very little profit to be made by jumping to shows. I mean, you can get your brand out there, absolutely. I'm not saying don't do shows, at least yet, or still. But it's a way to get your brand out there, but it's how you treat the customers and how you grow your customer base that's really going to count. Now, are there too many publishing companies? Are there too many comic publishing companies? Hell no. And the way that it's going right now, those big guys aren't that big anymore. It startles me that some millionaire somewhere, because people have money, some people have money that they can spare and spend on a whim. Somebody doesn't walk into the market like Lion Forge did with a few $1 million and decide that they're the next big movie property and go around and hire a lot of these guys that are out there looking for work, or guys that just want to work in comics instead of doing their own publishing companies. That's a lot of work. It is a lot of work being a publishing company, and there is safety in numbers. There's a lot to be said for that. But like I said, it amazes me that somebody doesn't pour a few million out there and go out there and grab some of these guys, these old workhorses that have always hit deadlines, that know their stuff and know how to write, know how to draw, and are recognized by fans, and just pull them up on board. I've been expecting that to happen in the Comicsgate market, to tell you the truth, especially once some of these guys get single products out there. Because if they don't, the single Comicsgate guys are going to turn themselves into publishing houses. And once that happens, dude, we're going to be doing the floppy book industry, and the retail market is really going to have a rough time surviving, a rougher time than they have now.
Yeah, do you think the market is going to, because you think the market is going to turn more toward people favoring trades? Because I remember reading, I think it may have been Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics, where he said that most fans at Comic-Cons would prefer to buy a self-contained trade because they don't know if they're going to see you again.
Yeah. I buy a lot of trades well, I won't say a lot of trades, but most of what I buy at shows are trades, just so I have more of a story. But that's the problem with the mainstream right now, is that everybody wants to do 1 of 6, 2 of 6, 3 of 6. So they think that 6 together makes a trade. And that's all they're doing, is working for chapters in a trade. And that kills your storytelling, because you're really just writing scenes instead of writing a story. You might have a bare bones story structure, maybe kind of a beginning, middle, and end, but the comics at Marvel and DC anymore are scene, end. Scene, end. and nothing moves. Oh, it's just people standing around talking. They're moving minor chess pieces on the board, trying to get to the main story. Or there's so little action going on. That's why they're so desperate for these event books like War of the Realms and all this. That it looks like they've got characters fighting characters. Back in the 70s and 80s, Hulk is a prime example. During the Herb Trimpe days and the Sal Buscema days, single issue stories. Hulk bounces into a place, fights a bad guy, bounces out. That was the whole story. Maybe a little bit of soap opera mixed in there. Maybe Doc Samson's chasing him. Thunderbolt Ross is chasing him. Betty Ross is mourning him, trying to find Banner. Maybe he switches back to Banner once in a book, but most of the stories where Hulk bounces into a place, Hulk finds a giant monster. They fight. Hulk wins. Hulk bounces out. That there's a lot to be said for that old style formula, because a lot of these, especially kids and grown-ups that read that stuff when they were younger, miss that stuff and want to read it. How often do you hear anybody argue anymore about who's stronger, Hulk or Thor?
Right.
And then nothing happens. I remember wasting hours at a bookstore arguing over who was more powerful, who would do what in a fight.
And I think I asked you this
before. They all want to sit around now and eat pizza.
I think I asked you this before, but I'll ask again. Are there too many fans in the locker room right now?
What do you mean by that? Too many people doing their own stuff?
No, too many people who, I used to read comics. I think I wrote it down that comics are made for everyone, but everyone should make comics. And
no, because it's an art form. I mean,
so do you think there are too many people?
If that's what you have your ambition to do is draw comics, but
and not just like draw, create, write. There seems to be a lot of people who, people now who haven't even they've never picked up a comic, but they seen a movie and they thought, oh, that movie was kind of cool and it's based on a comic. I want to write a comic book.
Okay.
And they're in the industry now. They wrote a comic book. They put it out, and
they think they're in the industry. What you have to define what the industry actually is anymore, and that definition's getting shadier and shadier. But yeah, if you want to write a comic, write a comic. If it's going to be a bad comic, it's not going to sell eventually. You might be able to have all your buddies order it off of Indiegogo or your Kickstarter and might make a little bit of money. But eventually you'll figure out that you're either a bad or a good writer, or you will become a better writer with everything that you get out there and actually gets critiqued. The big problem with mainstream is that they don't want to listen to anybody critiquing. Diversity in comics was doing a service for the longest time that if I was an editor at Marvel, I'd be setting all my co-editors down and watching maybe not all of his stuff, but some of the key points that he makes, because they're legitimate points. That's why he's got the listenership. There's a reason that he's got the listenership subscribers on his YouTube channel that he has, is because there's a lot of people out there that agree with him. How many people agree with him are not buying comics now because they can't stand him, because Zach is right on his or at least in his critiques.
Is for indie guys going to Comic-Cons, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but is consistency enough? Is that enough to get your book noticed?
No. Well, you got to have a little bit of luck. You got to have a little bit of skill, a little bit of talent behind you in order to really get your book noticed. You have to have a little bit of the luck is probably the biggest thing. A little bit of timing, a lot of marketing. You have to do a lot of marketing, but just being consistent at a show is not going to save you. Being consistent at the show just makes you that crazy guy that draws that silly book, or girl, that draws that goofy book. That's all. Oh, I read that book once. Maybe I'll pick up the next one if they're selling it at half price at the next show. That's the way it'll go. But eventually you'll figure it out, or you'll decide that you're not selling.
I seen a comic shop. I don't know what it was called. Well, I can't remember what it was called, but they had their whole idea for their store was nothing but indie comics, and it made my heart skip a beat seeing it because I'm like, oh my god, financial ruin.
I got a guy right here up the street. He can't get a Diamond account.
Really?
Yeah, he's been open for years. Of course, he's got a very tolerant landlord.
Yeah.
Who tells him he's in the middle spot of a strip of storefronts. He wants him there, and he decides, well, pay me whatever you can. He carries slabbed books and back issues, and he's got quarter boxes and 50-cent boxes, and he's not in a very big store. He's hanging on tooth and nail. We got two big comic shops here in Flint that do have Diamond accounts, and they move a lot of product. So I don't know what would happen to that guy, to the guy selling just independent books, if those other two stores weren't out there selling new product. He's like a collectible store. Sometimes you walk in and he's got are junk, and sometimes you walk in and he's done a major deal with somebody who's slabbed a bunch of books. He's had some incredibly awesome stuff, but that's another video that I want to do about taking an afternoon out and scouring your local comic shop and start finding the comics you want to read, as opposed to comics you're just filling your holes on. If there's so much good stuff out there, and there's so much crap being printed anymore.
If you were a guy trying to get into the industry today, just like trying to get a book out, guy or girl, how have things changed from when you first started doing Arrow Comics and until now? Like, do you see and what advice would you give people coming in now, or that have put out one or two issues?
Get ready for the pain. That would be the first one. What would I tell them now? I'd tell them to, from my personal experience, I'd tell them to blow off Marvel and DC as much as they possibly can. Marvel and the situation, somebody pointed out to me, maybe it was on one of the videos that I heard, but the situation has really shifted a lot since in the last 10 years, where Marvel used to be the epitome of Marvel and DC, the mainstream, used to be the epitome of where you go when you've made it. When you're a professional, you're working for Marvel and DC. Right. I had that type of attitude throughout back when I was printing black and white books. I heard that way too many times, where now Marvel and DC is really just a training grounds for these people to get recognized. And then eventually they'll jump out to Image or start printing their own stuff, or land a gig at IDW or Boom where they're making a bigger percentage than what they're getting from Marvel, and they'll do their own stuff. That situation's kind of changed. Marvel and DC have dug themselves in a very interesting, very deep, very hard hole when it comes to product that they're really going to have to fight to climb out from under, and their fight to climb out from under will be the deciding factor on how well these retailers survive into the next decade.
I don't know.
Unless of course you get that guy that steps in with a couple of companies that step up and actually start doing readable products. And there's been a lot of a lot of color comic companies that have sprung up that want to compete against IDW, and all they do is just unreadable books, just horrible products. You just sit there and you shake your head and you go, who wants to read that? Oh, the same people, I guess, that are currently reading all the Marvel and DC crap. That's why they only move 8,000 units. That's not what I got into the business for. I want to move 10,000 minimal.
I just think personally that there are too many. Myself, I think there's too many people. Like, you got a book out, you got a good book out. I know an artist right now. I won't say their name. They got
need to raise your standards.
They've got a great book out. They've been doing a lot of good work. Very talented artist and very talented writer, and they're putting their book out on a label that they created. But they don't go to Comic-Cons.
Everybody's got different marketing strategies. Are they surviving? Are they still kicking out product?
Not really. And it's like,
something's wrong then.
Yeah, it's like maybe instead of trying to push your own label, maybe go with a company that does go to cons, because I'm friends with them. And they tell me, hey, I can't afford to go, and who can it? At $300 a table, who can't afford to do a lot of cons? All right.
Well, again, that's I think that's an extenuating circumstance. That and these larger shows, they try to chase off the comic book people. There's plenty of one day shows. There's plenty of flea markets, out there where you can set up and sell your wares.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing about the market now is that a lot more normies are getting into it. A lot more people off the street because they want to be entertained. Marvel and the Marvel and DC movies are real entertaining and really well done with a level of quality. Travis told me this from Source Point, that's how they're selling the majority of their stuff. As people are watching the Marvel and DC movies, walking into a retail shop, and they don't have products that they want to read. It's not the same Iron Man. It's not the same Thor. It's not the same Captain America. Well, here's a 1 or 2 shot little horror title from Source Point. As long as it has a beginning, middle, and end, I'm going to take it home.
Do you think, and I'll tell you right now, I do. I've noticed this. There are a lot of indie artists, creators who are very, very protective of Marvel and DC. I'm talking about to the point where if you say, hey, I didn't enjoy this book from Marvel or from DC, they will jump down your throat.
Well, everybody deserves some criticism, as long as it's constructive and not always trolly. I mean, some people deserve trolly criticism too, don't get me wrong. But some people shouldn't be in the business. And me, I'm a curmudgeon. I don't think any of those guys up there in the mainstream, out of all of them, if I was CB Cebulski, if I was CB Cebulski, anyway, I'd file them all in and fire probably 3/4 of them at least.
But
there would be tales to tell in the comics media about the red day at Marvel if I ever got up there in charge, because I'd have them all come in and have them tell me their favorite, first their favorite comic story, and second the favorite story that they've written. And I'd put a little egg timer on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And if either one of those stories don't make sense, gone. If you can't tell me a story by the time the egg timer is done in 3 minutes, that's your very favorite, or at least capsulate it like a Hollywood pitch, you need to go. You just need to go.
I'm worried about the indie guys. I mean, like, it seems to me, and I've talking to you.
I'm worried about the whole industry because we have a Dan Didio sitting up there at DC who thinks there's no talent out there because they haven't bothered to look for it in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They never set up at shows. They never go and send people correspondence out to anywhere. They just rely on people to send them submissions, if they're lucky.
In the 90s, and from what I've talked to you, a lot of the guys who were there, I've read a lot of the books about the industry. In the 90s, late 90s, there seemed to be this when there was the indie explosion. There was a indie versus mainstream
mentality.
Mentality, and to the point where it was. I mean, Hart Fisher, who's a Facebook friend of mine, and I've idolized the guy for a while. He had shirts printed up. Marvel can suck my cock. Uh-huh. And
are we going to swear? Are we going to swear on this?
Oh yeah. We can.
Just be careful.
And he had.
You don't want YouTube to strike you or whatever.
And he had these. As a matter of fact, he recently.
I'm familiar with Hart.
Yeah, he recently redid the shirts. I ordered one quick. Uh-huh. But
are you going to wear it to a show though? No. Why is that? Because somebody at the show will politely tell you to leave.
Yeah.
For having that's not the same as back in the 80s and 90s, back when we were doing, back when that shirt first came out, because you could wear that at a con with pride and not get in too much trouble.
You had one, right?
I'm sure I've got one tucked away somewhere. Yeah.
One of the original ones. Wow.
Probably.
And
Sure, it's not my size anymore, though. But anyway,
But that mentality, that us versus them mentality, and now it's gone.
dude, back in the 80s, man, there was so much, like I said earlier, there was so much unique variety out there that it was startling. Nobody realizes what was out there during that period. I mean, that's when ElfQuest first started up. Now ElfQuest seems like an anomaly. Oh, it's done now, but ElfQuest was not an anomaly. It was just one book in the midst of myriad mix that happened to shake up instead of shake down because of the quality of the product. Because they had a writer on that knew how to write, and an artist who knew how to draw.
ElfQuest, Cerebus, Bone. Those are all
Bone came later.
Did it?
Bone came later. Love and Rockets is another example, the Hernandez brothers. But you also had Realm and Fish Police and Dead World and the list, Troll Lords, the list is crazy. I can go back through my long boxes now and find books that I've totally forgotten about or haven't thought of in the last 15, 20 years. There was some quality stuff out there then.
I never read Realm, and I'm told I should. But I was looking at an interview about 2 nights ago with James O'Barr, creator of The Crow. And he was talking about the Realm, and he said that when Gary was putting the book together, Gary hated The Crow. He did not want to put it in the book, but the way the books were printed, he needed a 4th book, and that's the way The Crow got in there.
Oh, the 4th story, yeah.
And so
I could see that because Gary had very odd tastes, to put it nicely. He had very let's say educated tastes. There was a lot of culture to the stuff that Caliber did. The quality jumped back and forth depending upon the team, but Gary had a very esoteric, cultured sense. A lot of classic stuff, a lot of public domain material, a lot of like Sherlock Holmes and that kind of thing, a lot of detective leanings type of stuff, more almost more cerebral. I remember lettering a couple of Gary's books, and man, it was the most wordiest lettering I've ever done in my life. So I was lucky to fit his dialogue on a page sometimes or inside of a panel.
I was looking at some of the older comics and collections of books. There used to be a lot more words on the page.
Oh yeah. Well, the over since the 90s, 2000s, you got into this decompressed storytelling, like I said, one of 6 that the big guys really wanted to get in. So you had, and that I blame Image for all of that, for the main decompressing of the storytelling, because the Image, when they first sprung up, didn't use editors. We know what we're doing because we're paid professionals, and they didn't even have writers back then. All these guys just did their own books. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it would be a much better thing if they had an editor there to go, you got to have some story structure in here somewhere. You can't be telling the same story in the first 20 issues of Spawn over and over and over and over and over again. You just can't. You got to have some sort of an arc. You have to have some sort of a movement. You have to, you have to write a character. That's a character, and the character has to have developing growth in order for people to associate with it, in order for it to be a popular character. Your artwork's only going to carry you so far, and they eventually figured that out.
And I'm going to switch gears here real quick.
But when Image sprang up, all those great black and white books in the 80s just disappeared.
I'm going to switch gears here for a second. Because this is the next thing.
And we became predominantly male power fantasies because they liked using the circle templates.
I was online earlier this week, and I came across a situation happening in comics. And
we have us a situation.
Yeah. And I got upset about it. And I went on my personal Facebook. And usually, let me scoot up here. Usually, I don't.
Stepping off for a second. Keep talking. I can hear you.
Usually, I don't allow myself to get too worked up about situations in comics because it's comic books. It should be a fun industry, no matter how many times people try to make it not fun. But I came across a situation where a group of individuals, they do not like they agree with the politics, the philosophies of another creator who's attempting to get into the industry, hasn't put
Okay.
out a book yet, and they have apparently threatened him and his family with doxing and CPS. This is
Isn't it sad how the market has still, even now, has so much immaturity tied to it. You know, people can't let people be. People can't be happy with other people's successes. If somebody was making money, trying to produce their book, and I know the situation that you're talking about, you'd think they would sit back and instead of being angry at them or wanting to dox them or harm them in any way, they'd look at what he's doing as an example as to how to make money and start applying themselves, making an effort. But that doesn't happen in comics, especially if you don't seem to follow the same political leanings as the big people up there. But that's, again, that ties back to those people I was talking about, that I wouldn't, if I was running a comic company, they'd all be flushed. You can't hire young adult authors and expect them to write comics. That doesn't happen. You got to hire people who know the format. You got to hire people who know the pacing. Who got to hire people who know the history, or even that's why I stopped pitching projects to anybody back in the early 2000s, is because I was pitching projects to these editors that they had no idea they even owned the character, and we own that character. It's like, or they'd look at me and go, well, that's third and fourth tier characters, and we're not interested in anything about those characters. It's like, like how Blade started off as a fourth tier character until Wesley Snipes cut a movie.
I went online and I made the comment that it was a sad situation, that it's horrible, and I felt sad for Century and sad for the person that's going through it. And oh man, my my inbox.
That ties back to that I don't have to understand shit remark, doesn't it?
It does. And
it's that mentality. And there's two people out there that are pushing that kind of mentality.
Well, I'll tell you what I got told. I don't. Is this about those particular guys? I said, yes, it is. Oh, fuck those guys. They're a bunch of racists. I don't care what happens to them.
And
I said, we're not talking about them. We're talking about children.
Well, there's none so blind as those who will not see. It's that simple. People just want to blindly follow what other people say instead of making up their own minds or their own impressions. You can call these guys. These guys have been branded as racists and Nazis and bigots and all of this BS until you get up there and actually start looking at the products they're doing, and two. Now, granted, the guy who's getting in trouble now, he's doing an ash can book that picks on these people. Mm-hmm. So he literally kicked the bee's nest.
Yeah.
And he asked for it. And he knew what was going to happen. That's why if you go on his campaign, the level in order to get that ash can is higher than the level just to get his book.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that's going to make him money. The controversy is going to spur the interest in the title, and any BS that he can that gets thrown at him, he can turn back around and monetize. That, as Van Sciver's been doing that for the last couple of years. He goes out on Twitter and digs up people saying bad things about him so that he can respond to them. So that and like I said, there's two kinds of people out there that are doing this. One is attention whores that make these kind of statements blind with dogma, pretty much with cotton between their ears, who don't want to listen to nothing because it gives them back the attention. They're putting out energy that they're seeing return, negative energy that they're seeing return back to them, and they feed on it like a like a monster, eating people. They crave it. The other type of person out there that I'm waiting to see totally proved is the shill. The person that Marvel or DC, probably Marvel or Disney, has gone out and paid in order to go out and stir up that bee's nest, in order to chase certain people off and to keep certain people, other people, cemented into that sad, immature, drama-filled dogma. And I think they're going to end up proving that. All they need is a little bit more evidence.
If people from Marvel and DC are listening, I would, I don't have a resume to submit for that job, but
I'll tell you this. I'm familiar with Joe Quesada. He knows who I am, and I'm really ashamed for him. I feel sorry for the guy for some of the stuff that he's tweeted about some of these people out there that are out causing other people harm. That's not how you run a company.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what, all jokes aside, that's what I was really upset about. I got a 8-year-old son, and it's scary to me to think that somebody might come to me at any point, somebody from either side. They don't like one of my political beliefs or one of my personal beliefs or something, and because of that, they say, "Hey, I'm gonna call CPS on you, and I'm gonna get your son taken from you and out of your home, and I'm gonna get."
And another thing, and not to disparage the person who sees the trouble, but a lot of that feeding back is them taking what was said and probably over amplifying the problem. And again, it helps his book sell. He's solidified a lot of people to run out there and hit that higher tier in order to get that ash can that picks on all these people. Just have it, and it's going to go up in value as soon as it comes out. Boom, it's going to be on eBay, and then people are going to ask some hard money for it. A lot of the Comicsgate stuff is jumping on eBay right now. Graveyard Shift, I guess, is up to $100 for a $25 investment. That's a good quick turnaround. Not that I'd ever sell a copy of Graveyard Shift for anything, because, well, at least not until I've read it. I haven't been able to cut the time to sit and read it. I did read Bigfoot Bill, though. Bigfoot Bill is amazing.
That was a nice looking book.
Hey, beautiful. Oh, beautiful book, beautiful packaging, just top notch. And like I said, he keeps doing that. He's going to be a publishing company. And he's got buddies. He's got his own buddies away from the main Comicsgate crowd. These buddies that have worked next around him in Hollywood all of these years that are really good, very solid artists that if he sits down and works with them on the writing part, they can make a company that would just kick ass. Just genuinely Long Harbor looks amazing. It's really good,
I sent you, I don't know much about it. I just friended one of the creators of a Florida Man comic. I seen it today, and when I first seen it, first person I thought about was you. I said, Randy has to see this Florida Man.
Oh, that's a long running gag. The Florida Man is a hero type character. It surprises me that nobody's made a comic out about it before now. But that's really that kind of product really appeals to the mainstream. And Mike Barron, who writes that, used to write Badger, and I'm sure that character is going to be written exactly like Badger, which is a little bit insane, very volatile, very very willing to take chances. That's why they have a picture of him, I think, riding an alligator on the cover.
Yeah.
That book has a lot of potential. If not inside the comic industry, but especially outside the comic industry. And that's where you're going to pull that money in. That's where you're going to pull the hard cash in right now. So all this, there's so many people back during the 80s, 90s, and 2000s that got out of comics. They ran in droves because the product started decaying and people recognized it, and they left. They went all over to other things. Video games wouldn't be as hot as they are today if comics kept their quality up. Just about any of the mainstream entertainment would not be as popular if comics had bothered to keep their quality up, which they didn't do. They refused to do. Image, I think, dragged the art form down a peg. The other companies decided that they had to follow Image. They all jumped down a peg. We became very very stereotyped in our demographics.
So no Circle Tippers came out.
Well, that happened in the 80s with pretty much just a little bit before Image started up. But these guys found that there was money in doing those circles, you know. And even, you know, that I was thinking about doing a video on that. As you go back and you look, and all of these people that are in this business today would not be here if not for all of these just misogynistic bastards out there who either hired the cutie off the street in order to be his assistant editor, or decided that, you know, that we need some diversity. Hey, kid, come here. We need some diversity, you know. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff wouldn't have happened if we hadn't degraded into the stereotype that we had been branded with. That's where the incels idea all comes from. And it's shameful is what it is, because the industry in the 50s tried to grow up and got slapped back down as kiddie literature and the Comic Code Authority enforced upon us. They tried to grow up again in the late 60s with the underground movement, and some of those books are classic. A lot of them are trash, just absolute garbage trash, but some of them are really incredibly good, and just classic stuff that nobody refers to or reads anymore. In the 80s, again, with the black and white boom, tried to jump out. We were doing, man, Love and Rockets was an amazing lesbian romance book. There was Omaha the Cat Dancer back then, which was an anthropomorphic stripper book, adult content. Xenophile, which was a goofy, fun X-rated comic that was selling really hot back then. There was a lot of really oddball quality properties out there that weren't superheroes, that weren't that damn male power fantasy that was expanding the market. And then boom, Image comes out, and all the retailers decide that they have to sell that male power fantasy again. I mean, just that male power fantasy. Then you had the black and white bust. Of course, the black and white bust also was led on by a lot of really bad product. Solson, Blackthorn doing just crappy reprint stuff. Just a lot of people abuse the market, but not as bad as what Image did to the main direct market, you know, doing the boob books like they did. I call them boob books. So that's all that, like the Spank the Monkey in the comic market thing, or the guy is looking at the Battle Chicks property and goes, dude, this is a boob book. I don't want to do boob books. You know, boob books sell. Boob books still sell to this day because there's a certain member of the populace out there that still caters to those male power fantasy and hits that demographic. They didn't really disappear. I mean, in another 10, 15 years, you might see that, but they just ran to gaming and Magic and the video games and all that. That money used to be in this art form. And even before that, before the direct market started up, you had Marvel and DC doing diverse product. Night Nurse, Young Love, Young Romance, Doc Savage, that kind of stuff. And Unknown Worlds of Science Fiction was an amazing comic magazine that adapted science fiction short stories. And they had a lot of really top-notch quality talent on that. And, you know, the direct market comes in and just everything just kind of filters, goes away in order for these male power fantasies to step up. And Marvel and DC has never had any measure of respect for the direct market.
What's your feeling on sites like Webtoon that push indie online comics?
Show me one that makes money.
They had I know Webtoon was they had a program that they were.
Show me a website that's making money outside of the ones that started, you know, that started the whole thing. Penny Arcade and PvP. I don't even know if those sites are even still around. Who mentions them anymore? Who pays any attention to those? I don't even see a collection from them anymore. Are they still around? Are there any web comic sites up there that are making money? Because I get the impression, or at least I did when I was doing, I did web strips for a little while, and it was more profitable and gave me more visibility to do Flint Comics than to do a webtoon.
Mhm.
You know, I know Kurt Kolka does the Cardinal, did it for years. I don't even think he's kicking out Cardinal on a regular basis anymore.
I have, most people know that I'm a publisher as well. I have a publishing company called Last Call Comics. We put out a couple different books, and I did a webtoon book, or a webtoon I published on there. Let me see if I can log in, and I will show everyone what I did. I did a book that ties into my comics universe called Mr. Rusty's, and it is. Let me see if I can find it. Go to my dashboard, and there's a lot of cool comics on there. Yeah, here's Mr. Rusty's here.
Well, I'm not saying there's not a lot of cool web comics. There are definitely a lot of cool web comics. Just that nobody's up there making money. They're making less money. They're making less money than the independent comic publisher. And the independent comic publisher is probably doing negative right now. You know, for all the time and energy that they put into their web comic, they ought to get some sort of a reward for it, other than a digital site for them to run to.
And I apologize for anybody who might be listening to this later on Indie Volt Radio, because they can't see it, but you can go to webtoon.com.
There's nothing there to see. Oh, there's a big word.
Yeah, and you can
gigantic. Is that yours with a gigantic F word there?
Yeah,
that's a family friendly book. Detroit. Oh, geez, man, just F word. This is your art?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I should mention that I put this book together in 2 days.
Did you really? Because there's a certain Howard Chaykin quality to the artwork there.
Oh, I was rushing, and the thing was, a friend of mine was getting ready to drop his book. We said we were going to do it, and I had told him, he said, well, you got to put your book out. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. He said, we're going to launch together, right? I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, okay, well, I don't want to launch together. Let's launch a week apart from each other. And I'm like, okay. So he says, well, you got to launch it Saturday. And I wanted to wait a week. I wanted to because I was rushing, and it's not very long, but it was you could tell where there's parts here where I just rushed through to get it done, and wasn't very happy with it at the end of it all. But my colorist is really good, and the letter on this book helped me out a lot.
That's a stretched panel.
Yeah.
And the bridge between those word balloons is a little thick. Then you try it the old-fashioned way. Appeal to the kindness of the people doing the actual hiring. How? F word. I need a blunt. The newspaper, you know that thing you steal off the porch every day? Yeah. There's got to be something in here. It's not. There's not. All the lousy employers are already up online with all the good employers are already online with their classified sites. This newspaper idea is probably outdated. As a guy told me, print is dead. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Print's alive.
It's just got to be in the right place. There's a lot to be said. Now, you see how vinyl is making a big comeback. Comics could be the same thing and should be the same thing. And there should always be a market for a good comic or a good graphic novel out there. Mm-hmm. But see, the bad thing with comics is that they're not inexpensive enough, because for one, they're having to support their comics are still the backbone of those comic retail shops. And these comic retail shops would rather push a $5 comic as opposed to a $2 comic, because they make more money. Hey, wasn't that the girl from that property you were talking about? That looks just like her. Go up just a little. Right there. Isn't that Umbrella Girl?
No. It's
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we got let me see here. And then some of the comics that I really like on here. Let me see if I can go to them.
This is Webtoon.
Yes, it's Webtoon. Some of the books that I like on here.
Hi, I can draw anime.
A lot. It's a lot of anime. It's a lot of
I
anime.
see that. A lot of anime.
So this is Jeremy Treese's book.
There's a really bad female Sinestro looking chickie there. Again, a little heavy on the circle template. This
is Jeremy Treese's book, I'm So Goth, and you get a parental advisory. And Webtoon is free. They have an app you can just scroll through, and it's all that's why it's in this format, because it's all set to be scrolled on.
This isn't the site that has that. What's his face? Moore. I think he's got a last name of Moore. That has the abused child strip in it. Is it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he's.
That's not bad stuff.
Yeah, Jeremy Treese's artwork. I like.
Oh, okay. This is the Treeses.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
And here's Eric.
That's got a nice look. They do I'm So Goth, because I knew I had heard that before. Yep. Yeah, there's Eric's stuff. That looks familiar.
Yeah, Eric's Dinosaur Man, which he hasn't been able.
How's he doing with that? You were just going to tell me.
He's he loves his. He just actually he wants to get back around to it. He got a couple of commercial work, some other commercial work that came up that he's trying to power through and get done so he can get back to this.
I know all about that. I do. Glad he's got commercial work.
Yeah, we were at his house and we were printing out some stuff, and we printed out this long Dinosaur Man
strip,
about 36-inch. It's about 11 inches wide, 17 inch. Oh, I'm sorry. It's about 17 inches. No, it's 11 inches wide, 36 inches long.
Strip. Yeah, literally.
As a poster for my son.
Oh, that's cool.
And he looked at it, he says, God, I miss drawing this character. And it was like heartbreaking that he really missed drawing Dinosaur Man. And it's a
all right, Spaz. I think I see something headed your way, or our way. It might be them.
Yeah.
Dig me out a cool weapon. Dig me out a cool weapon. If I'm going into the hero business, I need to make a good impression. There's a cool weapon. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice work. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's not making any money at doing this, though. How much exposure is he making? Speaking of exposure, do we have anybody listening to us now?
We have.
Is there anybody? Yeah. Is there anybody talking to us in the chat?
Not right now, and the chat's open, so they are available.
I gotta hit that magic link. Just making sure Tyler Zickafoos. Not actually a filmmaker. Not actually. I don't mean to say not actually a filmmaker. He is actually a filmmaker.
Yeah, Tyler. I just seen Tyler about 2 weeks ago now. He's getting ready to work on a couple other projects. All the filmmaker guys from up in Flint, where you're at. All those guys are so hardworking. It's really talented, and it's weird that the filmmaker community around there. I will say this about those guys: they are some of the hardest working filmmakers, and they're also friendly for each other.
There's a nice niche of them up here, which is cool, and they don't get enough exposure.
Right,
is what it is. They need to have a lot more exposure.
This panel here with him jumping off the cliff.
Hang on, I'm flipping over.
Okay.
We only have one watching now.
Yeah, we had 2 a second ago.
Oh, we chased somebody off. I'm sorry. There we go. That might have been you. No. Anyway, if somebody's there, please say something in the chat, man. Let's talk. Let's get this going. Yeah, I am there.
This panel here, this panel is the panel in which we printed off. Now, there's no words on the one that's in my son's room.
He's got Hawkman's belt on. He's got Hawkman's straps on.
Yeah, there's
He's got
and
Conan's loincloth. What's up there? Thundar the Barbarian's boots.
yeah, he Eric really. This is a love letter to the 80s cartoons that Eric.
I catch that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
All the
Very pretty, very nice work, very quality. I'm saying that for all the people out there in Indie Volt who can't see this.
yeah.
You should probably kick a link in there somewhere in the
I will.
description.
I'm gonna put a link to it. The dreaded dinosaur man. You can look it up on Webtoon. And it's free. You know, it's free. And I know Eric really wanted to do a we plotted it out in his car. We're headed down to a convention, and this is before you decided you were going to stop the paper. We had this idea. He went through a special Flint comic.
Oh, I'd have loved to have run this. I'm sorry that he didn't get it to me in time because I would have ran this.
Yeah,
this is really nice. I mean, it's really pretty stuff. I'd have tried to do it all in color too.
Yeah,
I'd have figured out a way.
It's a really good book. It's a really but you know,
it's a nice. Yeah, it's got a very professional, polished look to it.
Yeah, I just and there's a couple of episodes of Eric doing a live draw for these panels on Indie Volt TV.
Mm-hmm.
Him just drawing it and coloring it live.
Cool.
And so if you want to see the book get put together or the strips get put together, then and he has a Patreon. And
how does that do for him? Anything?
I think it does okay for him. I'm not sure. I know, you know,
probably not much because he hasn't been able to contribute to the strip much, right?
Well, he got that commercial work on a licensed book.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome that he got that. That's cool.
And he is like, man,
is it something you can't announce yet, or can you?
Oh no, he's announced it. He's doing a Roddy Piper book.
Yeah.
And
sorry,
that's taken him.
Should have known.
It's taken him so long.
Yeah,
he's hoping to have it done by Christmas.
Wow.
And because I forget how many pages it is, but
by this Christmas,
yeah.
That's got to be a lot of pages.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's. I think right now I forget how many pages he told me he was in.
Well, if it looks close to this, you know, it's going to be an awesome product.
Yeah. Let me see if I can.
It's really top-notch stuff.
Yeah, I really
be very proud of that.
I miss reading it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I know that he did. They did a campaign. I want to share this too. Did a campaign, and I know he was kind of upset because they had fell short of the campaign.
He did a Kickstarter, didn't he?
Indiegogo.
Was it?
Indiegogo and oops. Okay, let me see here. And Mike S. Miller actually he was on Mike S. Miller's channel for a second.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Oops. Where's my? Okay, I'll do it this way. Sorry.
Not a problem.
There we go. And yeah.
It's on Facebook reading a meme. I recently bought a toilet brush. Long story short, I'm going back to toilet paper.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's why I read it. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, that looks awesome. Yep.
They
didn't pull down what they wanted.
No. They got what
4,430% to the flexible goal.
Yeah.
Wow.
79 backers, not bad. I know he was hoping for a little bit more, but they I told him, I said, it's one of those things where it might take off after it's printed. I'm going to play the video here, see if I can.
No sound.
No, there's no sound. I was right. Of course, there's no sound because I got
Sorry.
my
Sorry to be quiet, you radio listeners.
yeah. It's got
It's going to be a pregnant pause there.
yeah, but yeah, it's just it's him talking about the book. It's Dom Riggio who's the writer. There's a bunch of wrestling wrestling legends and current wrestlers that talk
Uh-huh.
about Piper in the book. And there's not much art from it right now, but so you can find more about it at kiltedadvenger.com, KILTED Avenger.com. I know both of these guys. Randy, you know both of them too. They both at some point have exhibited at your show.
Yep.
And but yeah, I know for Eric, he was really disappointed about how the book didn't get he didn't clear that
Mm-hmm.
the 6,000 they wanted, but it happens, and next book he does. I told him my personal thing is I love Dinosaur Man. So that to me that's where his fortune is at.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting looking book and the character is interesting. And his heart is in that book, I can tell. So
yeah,
he draws them real quick too. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I have it over here, but oh yeah. Whenever Eric is over, I put paper out. And I found that it's really cool to do that when artists are around because they draw stuff and they leave it. And Victor Dandridge, we did a sample of his work.
That let you put it up on eBay.
Yeah, he sent us a sample of his. He has he has some drawing tutorials and artwork and artwork supplies, and we were testing them out on Indie Vault on the. We did an unboxing, a couple other things, and those videos should be up pretty soon on the channel. But Victor gives you these cards where the cards are like multiple, like random choice, so power, story, character, and we came up with these warrior roaches from underground, and it's what Eric was tasked with drawing it from the cards, and this is actually on the card stock that comes with the You Create
that's nice
kit. So Eric's thing has always been like monsters, like this guy looks like you're right out of Dinosaur Man. And yeah, I told him, I joked with him that we're gonna put it up on eBay, on Indie Volt's eBay, and see if we can get some money off of it. But it's a lot of those comics on Webtoon, they're really good, but people have I'll show you this one. I thought he needs to cut this out and make it a shirt. Let me see here. I can I know I can share it. Here we go. That needs to be a shirt. The Dinosaur Man.
Screaming dinosaur head. Yeah.
Yep. That needs to be a shirt. And it's Dinosaur Man, I guess, loses his cool sometimes. So he has to be reined back in. And Spaz is the kitty cat that does it. So and Spaz is based on Eric's actual cat. I think Eric's cat Spaz passed away a while ago, but he's immortalized here in the comic. So
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I love this book. I just wish that he get a little bit more traction on it, but I'm pretty sure he will. But it's one of the things we consider. Like, look at that logo.
Yeah,
that logo is.
Yep.
It's yeah.
It works. It's all good. It's all cool. Looks awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. As a matter of fact, Eric just messaged me.
He's probably that one person watching.
No. He's not. He's not him watching. It's I don't know who that is watching. I hope they would say hi, but
It's probably me. So I have it open.
You by you being in the industry as long as you have, do you think like when people put out books and how many number ones have you put out and said, okay, this isn't gonna fly?
That how many number ones did I put out?
And then say, yeah, this isn't gonna fly, and discontinued it at that point.
Oh man, I hate to even think. There's so many comics out there I kind of started and never pursued.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right?
Everything from Escapade to all the Spank stuff had more, except for Shock and Spank the Monkey Boy special. That was a number one. There's a lot of stuff I solicited for that I never printed. That was mine, and even other people's.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I was wondering was it just is it something that you can avoid? Do you have any tips on avoiding that as a publisher?
Or how to avoid doing a number one?
No. Avoid doing a number one and then saying, okay, because you know what, I've met some people who once they get that, they're hungry. They get in the industry and they get that number one issue in their hand, and then they want to coast on that for the rest of their lives. I got number one.
The fact that they did a number one.
Yeah.
Doing a comic is an accomplishment. You know, doing a comic series is a bigger accomplishment. You know, we did Flint Comics for 100 issues. I consider that to be a major accomplishment, even though nobody's going to note the passing except maybe the local TV station.
Yeah, that was a really cool interview today with you. I'm upset that I wasn't asked to come to Flint and be a part of it.
She spent an hour with me. It was a very quick thing, and it was crazy too because there was so much going on that day. I had the car in the shop. The wife needed to get to work. I had an engine light problem that had popped up, small leak, a gasket seal. And Eddie, who's at our local, thankfully we have a little local service Chevy dealer, that we have a really big Chevy dealer down the street that it takes me 2 hours to get an oil change. And we got a much more intimate, smaller, like mom and pop Chevy dealer that was one of the first in the area, the other way up the street. And I know Eddie really well because I used to own a Cruze, Chevy Cruze, and we seem to have a habit of buying models of cars the first year that they're out. And the first year a model car is out, it gets all the recalls because of all the design flaws. So the Trax has probably had 3 recalls on it that we drive now. It's the crossover, and I just thought I heard the doorbell go off. We used to own a Cruze. First year the Cruze come out, and that had a good dozen recalls. So I got to know the service guy up there really good. So when he said he'd be able to put it up on the machine, because the engine light kept going on, going off, going on, going off. And his words, no light, no problem. So after it was on for a week, I took it in for an oil change. And I said, Eddie, this thing's been on for a week and doesn't look like it's going off. And I got to have the wife to work at 11. He's like, oh, well, I think I can get you a company car. I wish I'd have known that to start with. So I drove the company car for the day. And then coming back from the dealer with the company car, going to pick up the wife to take her to work, I get a call from the TV station. Hey, we heard Flint Comics is done and we want to do an interview. And I'm like, love to do it. Don't know where you do it because I don't want to bring you down here because, you know, it's bad enough that we live stream and you see all this garbage down here in my basement. I didn't want that to be on national television, but they agreed to meet up at the Masonic Temple, which is where we had our first headquarters. So after I dropped the wife off and we coordinated a time, and I met him up there and we talked for a good hour, which was really good. They got a lot of footage. Out of which they cut down to like 3 minutes.
I was happy to see that they, you know, they had it up there. And let's talk about something else you got going on here real quick. Hold on.
It's still up there.
It's Something else you got going on?
For the old oh yeah, there we go. Yep.
Yeah,
that looks awesome. You did a really good job on that.
Thank you. It's I promise you the next one will look a lot better. I was kind of rushing to get it done.
Oh my God, there's only 10 days until the show. Holy crap. Right behind.
Yeah.
As usual.
I've been working on the site. A lot of people don't know. If you don't know, I built the Flint Comics site, Comics Con site for Randy, and it's a lot of fun being a part of that. But we've got the guest list. And I'll go through a few of them here.
Oh man, I had some troll email me a couple days ago. Are you gonna have anybody famous at your show? I haven't responded. I haven't responded back to him.
We have varying grants there.
It's like, dude, if you can't,
we got Dave Brown, who's the illustrator and creator of the Brown family. Dave actually was messaging us. He was on a stream last week.
Cool.
Yeah. Justin Faber, creator of Little Aliens and the artist of the Spark.
Yeah, he did a couple Golden Age Spark stories. Did real good. He's also drawn Hero Bot Zero for us too.
Okay, all right. The immortal Matt Fazale. He's a creator of Cynical Man.
Yep.
Emily Zelasco, whose art is just phenomenal. I really like her artwork.
Yeah, she was one of those people that I met at a con a few years ago, and I saw her strip and her comic strip, and told her, you need to be printed in a paper. You need to be printed out there where a lot of people will see, a lot of average people will see you, and not just do the comic stuff. And I told her to make a strip and start sending it to us, and that's what she did. She did Piece of Cake.
Mm-hmm. There's some guy here named Randy Zimmerman.
Yeah, some goofball.
Mr. Bill Mesner Lobes is scheduled to be at the show.
Hey, you could have probably mentioned the Preservers on there, but probably not in the same sentence as Spank the Monkey. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Scott Rosemont.
Yep, Scott.
Creative August artist on Space Ghost and more. And Scott's been doing a lot of coloring lately. In fact, that was the first thing that caught my eye is that some of the coloring he's doing lately. So really phenomenal. I really like his work.
Yeah, I had a buddy who he's kicking out some collections of the stuff that he did back in the 90s. And he had Scott do a cover for it. The book's called Seeds of Destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out really good.
Then we got and the young lady who, for me, is a reminder of how old I'm getting.
Every time I see her, man. Every time I see her, that's why she's there. She's just there to make you feel old.
Yeah, Miss Scary Perry Toth.
Yeah. I'll point at her every once in a while and go, "You're still 8." To me, you're 8.
I remember the first time I seen her was the Trait Fanfare, I think,
yeah.
And it was when she had the Boomtown Scabs, which is Brett Penson's.
Yeah, with Brett Penson.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And then I never made that correlation. That was the same girl that it grew up until recently, and I'm like, holy crap, that's her. Oh man, I'm old. And
yeah, yep. She's got a very bent sense of humor too. She does see through baby.
Yeah,
so that's a level of weird. That's cool. She also does our cartoon and our interviewed in cartoon segments.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a big hit in the paper.
Hey, she's a mainstay of Michigan geekdom.
Yeah,
and not just Michigan. I mean, she's going out of state and that stuff. So,
oh yeah, she's been all over.
She's gonna be I mean, she already is, but she's definitely gonna be a big name in the industry.
She could be famous.
Yeah. Robert Marzello, who I had no idea was from Michigan. I've been watching his YouTube videos for a while now.
He's not just from Michigan. I've known Robert for years. He lives in Linden.
Okay.
He's really nearby.
You see, I had no idea. And so when
I went over to his house and saw his operation before he built he's got a studio in his basement now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I went over and saw his operation. He's the one that really convinced me to start the YouTube stuff and to get the equipment in order to do the live chat like this.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as I love his channel.
Yeah, and he's grown so much as an artist because he's had it too.
Mhm.
He's just gotten he went from okay starting uh, starting pro high amateur level to being a really polished professional in his art. A lot of his videos now are just impeccable.
Oh
Just
yeah,
amazing stuff.
I watch a lot of his videos, and
Yeah, yeah.
Let me see here next. Crazy Mark. He's the creator, producer, and director of Crazy Mark TV, which I got to fix that right now.
When was Matt Woodbury coming? I don't have him on a list.
Yeah. Matt's there. Matt, at least he tells me he's there. He's gonna be there.
Oh, I don't remember him asking for a table. I know Paul's got a table.
Yeah.
Crazy Mark, he's crazy, man. He's crazy.
Yeah. As a matter of fact,
God love him. God bless him.
That's Mark's video up there. I stole. It's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Don't let him see you. Well, he'll probably be, all right with you taking it. But
yeah.
he's a crazy madman. I love him dearly.
Paul, is this Paul's last name? Is it Connellis?
Cornelis.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the man will never go to lunch with me. So
he's an author, freelance writer, and columnist for Rue Morgue and the Fear Finder, which is a local magazine that's put out. Yeah,
I don't know how many articles he's had with Fear Finder lately. So
okay, well, they put that out in October to help. It's like a scary newspaper. It lists all the haunted houses in the area.
Yeah,
so it's a pretty popular. Everyone's looking for it around September.
Who's Matt Woodbury under? What's his production name? Pop
of Zero.
Yeah. See, I don't know. He's never called me for a table that I remember. If he has, I don't have him on my list.
Well, you better get to it. Yeah, he's gonna be there.
I'm behind anyway.
Mark Bonto.
Yeah.
Who my son is a big fan of.
Cool.
He's gonna be at the show. Kurt Kolka, creator of the Cardinal, who again my son is a big fan of. And he likes
some oddball at the end of that name varied.
Yeah, some guy here. And I've got a couple people left to add. Which is I've got Tyler
Zickafoos. Yep,
I got him.
He's coming. I just talked to him.
I have Joshua Harris left. I found his Facebook. He hasn't my friend request yet, but I did talk to Justin Faber, who sent me all this stuff.
Yeah.
But Joshua Harris and Tyler and Jen Cole.
Who's Jim Cole?
Jen. Yeah. Is it Kuhl? Is it Cole or Cool?
Oh, Jen. Yeah. Jen Cool.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
Kuhl.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to add her as well. So I've got 3 people left to add. If you go to the site and you look at the names, anybody who's Twitter or Facebooks I could find, you can actually access them right there. Or you can click on the person's name. For instance, you can click on Mr. Randy Zimmerman here, and it's going to take you to a page where it gives you a little bit more information about Mr. Randy, and you can he has a picture and what he does. If you go to even in there, you can go to his Zim Geek channel, his Twitter, his Facebook.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's no problem at all, and I really enjoyed putting the site together. It was a lot of fun. I wish that I had like a couple. If I had a couple months, I would have put a couple more bells and whistles in there. But it's real fun to do. And
our immense list of sponsors.
Yeah, you do need. I think there's room for like 2 more. I can keep going, but
don't plan on it, buddy.
Yeah,
you could probably put Crazy Mark TV down there in that corner.
We'll do. I'll add that as well.
Yeah,
I like Crazy Mark, and it's just a lot of fun putting this. And everyone, I really like the show because it's really fun. It's a real fun show to do. It's a real fun.
It's a very informal, one day, just 9 to 5, goofy collection of people, and if nobody shows up, we just talk to each other. It's all good.
I know that people have asked me twice now, can they buy tickets from the site? You cannot buy tickets from the site. Tickets are available at the door.
Yeah, we're not big enough to take advance tickets. What are they thinking? Have they ever been to the show before? Come on. We're in a freaking farmer's market. Just come on in. And that's why we only charge $5 to come through there. Bring your kids. Kids 12 and under are free as long as you as long as you pay when you come in, keep an eye on them. That's the whole idea behind you paying.
You can do that. I gotta get rid of that buy now button there. But tickets.
Yeah, get rid of that. You can't buy now. What the hell?
Tickets available at the door.
I hit it. It doesn't take me anywhere.
Yeah. It's $5 per adult. You bring a child with you 12 and under per paid adult.
Yes. Okay. No. You can bring a whole troop in if you have one paid adult that's going to be responsible for them. We need somebody to blame if they get out of hand.
I understand it totally.
That's what it is.
And it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool show to do. I like being a part of it every year. So
like I said, it's a really relaxed one-day show. That's all it is. It's meant to be fun. We started it in order to congratulate ourselves for printing an entire year of Flint Comics.
And the guest list is actually, if you go to the guest list, and I want people to think, if anybody who's going to be at the show, they come to the show and say, oh, someone must have left. I set the guest list up to be random. So every time you go to the page, it reorders the people.
Yeah.
So that way, no one's ever just first, no one's ever last. I did that on purpose. So that way people, everyone gets a chance to be at the top or the bottom or whatever. But I got three more people to add, and looking forward to that show. It's a lot of fun, and the food there is delicious. I keep almost giving them free publicity, but there's that Bees Dogs place.
Yeah. He's got his own place in the market now.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's delicious. I love those hot dogs.
Yep.
But Randy, now I have a question for you, and because this is a talk show. The paper's done.
Yeah.
Flint Comics Comic-Con is set to continue.
Yeah.
It is the paper, was the paper a big part of the show, or was the show a part of the paper? What was the?
Well, the show was helping to pay for the overhead on the paper. So, like I said, we started it to thank people as kind of a lark. We really weren't making a lot of money off of the show to start with, but when we moved over to the market, we made some decent profit. So, because our through the door attendance doubled once we moved over to the market. Who knew there was a lot of people that didn't want to step foot into an old Masonic temple? I guess for fear that they'd get they'd meet a ghost or something, because that place is haunted anyway. But
people were afraid of the Illuminati. They were afraid.
No, that too, probably. But
I don't know if
they're all good people. They treated us real good while we were there. So, and the place is immense. I mean, if we could, the Masonic Temple has 3 different auditoriums in it. We always talked about doing a big 2-day show there, and having comics, science fiction, and gaming, and just take over the whole complex, which would have been awesome. But we never got that big. I never wanted to be that big. The bigger you get, the more problems you inherit. So we do a nice little comfortable 1-day show in April, another 1-day, same thing in September, and now I'm doing the same thing up in Saginaw at the end of June.
And the next thing you know, you get too big. Next thing you know, you're handing out coupons. So
yeah, making people pay and taking 20%. Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed,
because I've lost all respect for you.
I've got a new background behind me somewhere.
No, I did notice. Yeah, you got comics hanging up there. I was thinking about moving my spiral rack closer. I'm going to be getting rid of that pile of papers there here pretty quick. That's my Flint Comics reference material when I needed to reference material for putting the paper together. Now that the last paper's together, I don't need that pile there anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see. They go up pretty high, but
nope, because it cuts off right the first. Oh, there's a preservers. Yeah. There we are. You need to put that down on the bottom rung. Down. One more. Right there, right on the side.
Right
no,
here?
Wrong way. Different, other way. Right there in the corner. Yes, right there. That's where it needs to be. That way everybody can't help but see it.
Okay. This was a book. We're still doing it. I talked about it for a little while. It's from the all ages side of Last Call Comics.
Foresters?
Yeah, it's called Root Beer Press.
Oh, that's cool.
Foresters. It's our kids. And what we did here was we had so it's a promo book. It was really quick, and it was something
for the Foresters.
Yeah, for the Foresters. But what it is cool. I had a picture.
You know, you should probably talk for a second because I have to run to the restroom.
Okay.
So let me. I'm gonna mute and shut the camera off. You keep talking.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
And I'll be right back.
All right. So we had we did this book for Root Beer Press, which is my I have a publishing company called Last Call Comics, and we have a children's division called Root Beer Press, and we did this book. And what we did was we had all of my son's schoolmates color in the book. Color. They sent some coloring pages up to the school, and all the kids colored the pages. And it was really cool because after that we took the pages and we had the kids, we printed their coloring in the book, their pages, and they were really happy about it. I think it took us like a couple days. We got them all back, and was a lot of fun, and the kids liked it. That's a picture of the art that they colored, and they had a lot of fun doing that. But it was just something we did just to have a book out for the kids for my son's class. It was actually his present to the class. But the book, the actual Foresters comic, is not out yet. It will be out this year from Root Beer Press. So you can visit Root Beer Press by going to rootbeerpress.com. It's hopefully, we'll have a little bit more content up there for everyone soon and their children, a couple games, some more coloring sheets. I'm really big on coloring sheets for kids. My son loves coloring, so I think that's very important for everyone else's kids to color too, because my kid likes to do it. And when Randy comes back, I really want to ask Randy about as far as indie comics are concerned, price point for some of these books. If some indie comics are priced too much, and I think they are. I've gone to some shows, and I'll leave my table, walk around for a while, and come across comics that are priced ridiculously high. I'm talking about, I've seen floppies, 30-page floppies, $30. And I think that's ridiculous. I think, this is, a brand new comic. They just got off the printers. It just came off the printer a day and a half ago. $30. That's outrageous. And
they call that gouging, son.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're back. What do you think about that, Randy? I was telling everyone I was going to ask you about that.
Who? What?
Indie comics. I've gone to some shows, and some of these indie comics people are charging upwards of, like, brand new comics printed yesterday. People are charging $20-$30 for floppies.
32-page comics. Are they in color or black and white? They look like that Preserver's book behind you. I'm a firm believer in smoke them if you got them.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody thinks that the book's worth that much money and they can get that much money for it, man, they might not get that much money for it again. But if you want some long outs, it all depends on how badly you want to be read, or if you just absolutely have to make money.
When you were when it was Arrow Comics, Caliber, they were all around the same time, correct?
No, Caliber came in between Arrow Comics 1 and 2.
Okay. A Plus Comics was around. What point were the
A Plus was long before Arrow?
Long before Arrow. Okay.
Many years. Probably, I would say they come out in about 77. A Plus did. A Plus was more of a fanzine
Mhm.
that, or an underground, almost like an underground publishing thing. They only published, I think, 4 or 5 issues.
What's
They were tied into. After that came Power Comics out of Grand Rapids.
okay?
Printed Cobalt Blue, and that's where Bill got his first stuff printed. Bill Loads.
Was there competition between the local publishers?
No, because Caliber started up after Arrow stopped. Really,
Mhm.
there was we split off. Sue and I split off from, or at least I split off. Sue got tired of doing it. I split off from Arrow and started my own publishing stuff called Weeby Comics. Had a little bee look like the Honey Nut Cheerios bee. Weeby Comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I ran a few pieces from there, and then Ralph and Stu ran into financial trouble. They stopped printing, so we had an issue of Realm and Dead World collection that we printed as Weeby Comics. And then we ran into financial trouble. Actually, the guy who was fronting it, the store owner, got into some personal problems that he we had to stop publishing, to put it nicely. But
I was just wondering because nowadays there's this air of competition.
there was always backstabbing and errors. Again, we're dealing in a medium that deals with immaturity and drama on a daily basis. Like the convention situation here in Detroit for the longest time had 3 or 4 people that were constantly banging into one another. And Goldman come out on top of that, but that used to happen quite a lot. You know, he had people complaining and pulling stunts and, you know, just trying to cause other people ill for the most immature reasons. No, there's plenty of money to go around. There used to be plenty of business to go around. It's just that folks never saw it that way, because if somebody else was setting up in their neighborhood, they were obviously taking money out of their hands, you know, out of their pocket.
I asked because, you know, and I know it's maybe a little bit too inside baseball for some of our listeners, but, you know,
How inside baseball do you want to be?
I've ran into a situation myself where a individual was ready to leave, and kind of he seen what we were doing at Last Call Comics with our books and content, and he wanted to be a part of that. He felt like, you know, with his current deal, he wasn't reaching people the way he wanted to, and he came on over, and that upset some people within his, you know, the company he had left. And I keep finding that I keep hearing from people, oh, I left my company, you know, and they want to come over to mine. And we don't really have a problem with that, but it's almost like you inherit this rivalry then, or you inherit beef where, oh man, you know, now I have beef with this company because they think that I stole you from them, or you know. And I was wondering,
you've been stolen.
Was there any of that, you know, in the early, you know, Arrow days, or someone came over
No,
to
but
the company?
Again, that's because Arrow stopped, Caliber started. Caliber jumped into spottiness, and you know, I restarted Arrow, Arrow point 3.0 up here. Caliber wasn't really running, or at least wasn't running very well at the time. But that was after I had the War of the Worlds stuff printed through Caliber. So Gary was always accommodating. There was never any real competition that we saw. We just decided to print our own stuff.
Another question for you, and I know it's not really like I don't know if it's I don't even know if it's a good question, but Caliber's from Michigan. It's Michigan based, right?
Yeah.
Should this Caliber, and I know you like really weren't like privy to the inner workings, but has Michigan embraced Caliber?
What do you mean by that?
Like,
does most of Michigan even know Caliber exists? No.
Mm.
No, do they know it more than Arrow? Probably, because Caliber kicked out so many products, so many different things. Gary was always trying something new, which very much to his credit. He wasn't afraid to do a graphic novel or arrange a Walmart deal, that kind of thing.
Okay, well, how about another question? I guess a follow up to that question: should young artists from Michigan should they be submitting to Caliber?
They can if they want. I don't know how much product Eric is accepting. It's probably a lot less than what Gary was doing.
Because I mean, I made the comment earlier.
Is Eric even doing floppies anymore?
I don't believe so. I don't think I've seen any floppies from Caliber, but like I made the comment earlier. Okay, so like Last Call Comics, we do about oh gosh, 20 between 22 to 30 shows a year. Okay, and that's a pretty nice number of shows. There are people who blow me out the water though. There are people they're on the road 24.
There are people that are always on the road.
Right. And so I feel like sometimes like if I'm just me, just Varian Grant, and I decide I'm gonna start a comic company, I want to put my own book out, and because I need to, check that, publisher's box there in the corner, I'm just gonna create, Vagrant Comics, and I put that out there. Should I be trying to go find a publisher that's in my area that will put my book out? So should I be trying to get in with a Caliber, with a Source Point Press? Should I be trying to give up? Should I try to sign with those type of companies? So because they do more conventions than somebody who's working 9 to 5 trying to put out a book, they can at least get their book in front of more eyes.
Yeah, but how fast are you going to get it out? That's there's everybody's circumstances are different. So there's very much safety in numbers. So you might be secure and to hook up with Last Call or with Source Point, or you might be more comfortable just doing it on your own. It's really a matter of personal preference. Part of the fun of comics.
Did you are you with Flint Comics now? You have a lot of free time on your hands.
No,
not
enough. No, I got a bucket list, dude. I'm getting old. You can tell by the gray here. I'm a little older than your average comic dude.
Well, rumor has it that you dyed gray.
Well, I do, but I just the kids ask me how old I am, and I tell them my actual age, and they freak.
Yeah, I believe that you dye it gray. I believe it's really brown, and you just dye it gray.
It's all peppered. It used to be black, but yeah. I just dye it gray. Absolutely. I'm thinking of shaving it though, because it makes me look old. I kind of like the goatee better. The wife likes the full beard, so some Momoa guy, I guess. I don't know, but I got a list. I got a bucket list, just like I had a wish list of strips that I wanted to print with Flint Comics that I always wanted to print. Well, you get to that point where you're printing the paper and you go, I'm probably never going to be able to print all the Russ Manning Tarzans because I really wanted to print the Russ Manning Tarzans. And, Universal doesn't pay me any attention, so that I probably would get into trouble if I reprinted all of the Starhawks, which I really wanted to reprint all the Starhawks. So you give up on some of that stuff, but I still have a bucket list of a half a dozen to a dozen products I really want to do. And that's what I'm going to focus on. I mean, I'm going to focus on my YouTube channel. I'm going to keep streaming here, try to get more visibility out so that folks know who I am. And, so I'm not doing a Indiegogo campaign blind with people who have no clue. Who's this guy? Look at this product. And in the meantime, I want to get some stuff printed out there from maybe Alterna Comics.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind doing a product with them. I was talking to Josh Harris about taking that Paragon idea and pitching it to Samedi. I'm not sure if he'd take it. I'm not sure if I didn't burn that bridge when I was younger. That's the thing. Back when Samedi was first trying to get into newsprint comics, from the way he talked about me when he opened my package, I'm kind of like, maybe he just doesn't. Maybe I burned that bridge going down, because I burned a lot of bridges in my day. Said the wrong opinion here or there, but I wouldn't mind Alterna printing some stuff just because I like their company and the fact that they come out on newsprint and they're very inexpensive and they seem to be out there. He's really busting his butt to go out into different markets, because I would always love to. To me, it's not a matter of getting rich as much as being read. That's always been the thing for me. That's why I wanted to do the paper. The paper got out there through the county. There's a lot of folks out there that know who I am that are local, but I started that YouTube channel in order to kind of stretch out and see if I can't get some attention all across the interwebs. So,
well, I mean, the paper to me is
and then once that happens, when I build up my subscriber list, I'm going to start an Indiegogo, very much like Sweetcast or Tug.
Okay, yeah,
and just see what I can do, because there's a lot of stuff I really want to get done. I really want to revise Spank the Monkey on the comic market. I think that's a solid idea, and it's a good one that might give me a little notoriety, because I actually know a little bit about what I'm talking about there, because I've done so many things and been around for so long, experienced a lot of comics history. I really want to do a collected Tales from the Aniverse. I really want to print the treatment that I did for the mischievous character that I got really close to having an animated movie from. I want to do Hero Herd. I want to do Paragon. I want to try some more superhero stuff. I wouldn't mind writing another War of the Worlds book if I could find a decent artist that was unique enough that I'd want to work with, that could handle the job. That kind of stuff. I still have 4 issues of Memphis Front that's done or just about done. 2 issues I printed back in '96, back when I was Arrow Comics for the 3rd time. I just need an artist to finish off the story, and I remember how the story ends. It's kind of unforgettable, but I wouldn't mind doing more. I need to start writing more. I really do. I want to write more and create more and get more stuff out there, as opposed to having to spend a week to put the paper together, 3 more days or 2 days to go out and distribute it, another day to mail out all the invoices, and hope that the advertisers remember to send me a check so that I can actually pay for the print run for the paper and not have to dip into my savings.
Trico popped in. He says, "I love Spank the Monkey."
Trico needs to get in here with us.
Yeah, I don't know where. Yeah, I should send him an invite.
We're still live.
Yeah.
How much longer do we have? How long have we been?
I think that I think that I've been granted extra time, because
I think they're gonna. Don't they kick us at 2 hours?
They did before, but I got an email telling me that I had been granted additional features.
Yeah, we started 108 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, let's see here. Oops.
There's 3 watching now. You must have turned us on. There's 4 watching now. Holy crap, we're gaining. Hello, everybody. Write in the chat. Let us know that you're there. Trico says he loves Spank the Monkey. That's awesome.
Let me see here.
Give us a chat. Hello. You can type it. Come on. Oh, now we dropped somebody.
Oh, no.
Oh, now we dropped somebody else. Holy crap. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes, Trico was grading papers. He says, Trico is a professor. He is a mechanic. He is a comic book publisher
and a piano mover.
He's done quite a bit. I'm gonna send you the link anyway, Trico. Even if you don't come in, you're always welcome on the show whenever you'd like. There's
by day, young Trico Lukens works on cars. By night, he grades papers.
Yeah, he's a professor.
But twice a year, he dons the gold or the pink chiffon and becomes Captain Equinox.
That'd be cool. He's also a comic book writer as well. He writes comics.
Yeah, let's all write comics. We can't do any worse than the idiots that are writing some of this Marvel crap now. Holy crap.
I picked up a book, and there's a couple of books up here. Every book I put up here, either one I published or one I liked. And
there you go. That's like my spiral rack.
Spirits of Destiny from Dorfies.
Spirits of Destiny,
which is out from Short Fuse, which is another Michigan-based publisher.
That's actually the story of a bartender at a strip club.
What's that?
Selling refined spirits. Of course, her name is Destiny, so it'd be Spirits of Destiny.
Well, hers is Spirits Destiny.
I used to know her for quite a while.
Yeah.
Not biblically, by the way, but I did know of her. We had a lot of late night talks.
Yeah, Dorothy's is hers is Spirits Destiny. Floppy Cop by Dan Daughtry, Septimus. They put that book out. Really like that one.
Isn't that a Source Point book?
Yeah, that's a Source Point book.
Floppy Cop.
Yep. The Preservers by some guy.
That's down there in the corner.
There's another one here.
Is there? Oh yeah, that's a number 2.
Yeah.
Yep. Working on number 5 right now. I should be working on it even as we speak. I just had a meet with them earlier. So
the Psychopath from Stephanie Menard, which is how I found out that Stephanie is a really talented writer, and how I found out that she is probably much more warped than I am when it comes to imagining how to abuse your main character.
You're that guy doing that fetish book, huh?
No, that's not me. That's not me. I did see a book. I didn't buy it, but I did see a book just recently where this guy has it's kind of weird, but it's a book about a guy who's a voyeur, and the character's entire all the guy draws is he draws his character peeking in on women, and it's kind of a weird book.
We all have our fetishes, my friend, and this market is small enough to cater to all of them.
I can't.
Oh yeah. It's just the direct market doesn't want to have anything to do with them. The retailers, every once in a while, you'll get a liberal enough retailer that'll collect some adult content. But Eros Comics lasted for many years, still might be printing. I don't know if they're still coming out or not. There used to be a time Previews used to have an adult catalog. Remember that?
I do.
A whole adult catalog. Now, where did that go? Poof. That's where that went.
Here's a couple other books that I guess I should have put up there. But so here's what one of them can't go up there. It's got Gabriel from Moonstone Comics. I really
Moonstone Press. How wonderful.
Yeah, I really didn't
talk to those creators sometime. There's a story.
Really? I wouldn't know. I'm totally out of.
Never worked for them. Liked all of their properties. Would have loved to have written some of the pulp stuff that they had at the time, but no.
Did you burn bridges?
If I didn't, I probably did, but if I really didn't, I would have. At this point, like I said, you should talk to some of their creators.
Haven't got a chance to read this yet, but I will. Viking Queen from Source Point Press.
Is that Paul's story?
It is. It is. As a matter of fact, both of those are Paul story books.
Who? Yeah. What was the other one?
The other one was Gabriel.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was Moonstone. Maybe I should talk to Paul Story about his association with Moonstone.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, Paul did the story for this.
Yeah, he never wrote anything for Arrow, probably because we never paid anybody unless they out of profits. So I did a really awesome, or I printed a good Last Days of Camelot book. That was kind of fun.
Mhm.
that Paul didn't write it though. So it had to do with knights and the ending of Camelot. But
And that's Living in the SOS. It's Last Call Comics.
oh yeah, cool,
Oh,
cool.
and look at here, look at there, on the back.
That looks like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's an IndieVolt ad.
Cool.
The coverage the indie industry sorely needs.
Not enough of it. You do you put up a lot of the news stuff?
Yeah, you know what? One of the things is that we have.
Did you cover a spot where Larry Hama couldn't find a cup of coffee?
We didn't cover that. We didn't
Was
cover
shut
that.
off of the PhillyCon for no apparent reason because the writer, the journalist who was Rich Johnston, decided that it wasn't important enough for his journalistic nose to find out why Larry Hama couldn't get a cup of coffee. But it was very important for him to run the 3 pop-up ads and all the crazy freaking ads on the border. And holy crap. I had to keep clicking, read a little, click, read a little bit more, look for that X, click, over and over on that. And I put it up on Facebook. I said, what kind of sloppy journalism is this from Bleeding Tool?
Trico says, I always wanted to write Kolchak, the Night Stalker for Moonstone.
There you go. Yep. I would have loved to have written some of their pulp stuff. I couldn't bring myself to read a lot of that material. Some of the Phantom stuff I read, but I do know he sold a ton overseas. I know that for sure because he had a lot of properties that a lot of people in Europe wanted to read. He had a style that the house style was very much almost like a European or Italian look to it. So I imagine he sold a buttload overseas.
Paul I bought those from Paul at Great Lakes Comic Con, and I just seen them on his table. They kind of called out to me. I said, I'll check out these 2 books. Why not? And I was very
Paul was probably happy to have the sales.
Yeah, it was cool. I'm trying to think if I got anything else over here. Oh, I bought and I got to give you yours. At Flint Comics Con, the How to Draw Comics Marvel Way book.
Yeah.
But my son has one too. I bought one for myself, another one, and bought Caden one, and I got you one. But Caden has been working his butt off in that book. He's been coming, did you know? And giving me, about the worm's eye view and the, just everything.
Yeah.
And so he's drawing Spider-Man. So this is his Spider-Man. He's now he drew that all by himself using.
Pull that back up to the camera again. Okay.
He drew himself using the and now he's looking through all kind of drawing books. Now he's got to look at the drawing books and he's got to figure out this, and he wants to figure out perspective and then he's like, well, Dad, I know Stan Lee is passed away, but is John Buscema still alive? And
No,
and
gone.
Yeah, I'm like, well, no, son, John's been gone for a while too.
Sal's still around.
Yeah. And he's like, well, could I write? Because he wanted to write him a letter and ask him questions. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I know a ton of artists, son. If you want to ask questions, just because he don't want to listen to me. He don't want to listen to me.
Most kids never want to listen to their parents, dude.
Yeah, it's like he's like you're just dad. I hear you bitching about art all the time. But he really gets a kick out of it, and he really likes drawing. And I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to see that. I hope
the first drawing lesson is to take everything you have in your collection, written or not written, but drawn by Jim Lee, and throw them in the trash. Next, learn who Vaughn Baudet and C.C. Beck are. That'll be very important for you in your eternal growth. Jack Cole would be helpful too.
I just booked another convention. hope if people get a chance to get up there. It'll be in October. As a matter of fact, let me see here. I'll bring it up.
October. Our next show is in September, dude. September 14th.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I got another show.
I gave up on October because of the Cancer Society and their crazy breast cancer walk run. And the fact that they wouldn't give me a date. So I'm like, well, okay, I'll move it to September. My niece-in-law is getting married on the old weekend anyway. So it's all good.
Oh, okay. I don't think they have their site set up yet.
Damn them.
What gives?
Tell them to get off of their ass and get coordinated.
I don't think their site is set up yet to accommodate. It is. Okay, yeah, here we go. I'll do a screen share. And it is not there. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Do a screen share. All right.
Wow. Welcome, true believers. Newaygo County Comic Con 2019. Our second annual event will take place on Saturday, October 19th, 2019. At least he won't have a cancer run that he has to worry about. Hours 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Plus, we will be holding a masquerade ball dance in the evening. Hours for that, 7 p.m. to midnight. Location, Fremont Rec Center, Fremont, Michigan. Everybody knows where that is. Admission to the Comic-Con is $10 for adults. Arr.
Yeah, it's $10. Went
$5 for kids 17 and under. College ID, military, police, EMT, and senior military. Active or retired. Police, EMT, firefighters with ID. You can get a $35 family pack. Yep.
$5. 5 and more.
5-year-olds and under are free. As long as they don't steal any books.
Yeah, it's a nice show. I'm not sure that I'm on the site yet.
I never get invited to these new shows as a guest. Nobody sees me as a viable guest person, except Mike DeSantis and Mark Hodges, Grand Rapids, and I figure that's enough for the year. That and whatever shows I put on.
Well, you put on, yeah. I mean, you put on 2 shows a year. Now going up to 3.
Probably 3. Yeah, the way it's looking, it's going to be really big. So,
and I don't think that. Let me see here.
Look at all the photos. Holy crap! Is that girl nude? Oh my goodness! Oh, that's body paint. What a great job! Holy crap! Huh. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't. You just. I don't know
what?
Man, I don't think they put any pictures up.
I have to look at that closer. What is she sniffing?
Yeah, I don't think they put any pictures up.
Wow. You don't see those? It's amazing. It's not really amazing. Amazing's near my house. There's one. There's a Wolverine fighting a who the heck
Destro.
Is that? Is that Destro? Okay.
Yeah.
That man has a big head. There's some goofy dudes.
Yeah, you've got
that's a girl dressed as Sailor, what, Gemini?
Oh no, that's Zelda.
No, that's Zelda. What's up? Up.
Oh.
That's a Jawa there. Keep going. Right there.
Okay.
Right
yeah,
there.
I'm not sure. Oh no, it's not Ronan Kenshin. Oh crap. I forgot the name of that anime.
I don't mean this to sound mean or bad, but is that a guy dressed as one of the Sailor characters?
No, that's a girl.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Let's see here.
Hello, I'm typing on my phone.
Oh, look at there.
There's Hodges.
Mm-hmm.
Talking to an unsuspecting female. At least she's got a dagger in her hand. It's all good. Wow, that was kind of cool. old waitress.
Oh yeah, this Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's a bombshell Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
How sweet. I like the pink. That is kind of hot.
Have I been
Hello, I have a guitar.
hot as again talking to Wolverine?
Yep.
Now
At least he's got some claws, so it's okay.
I'm at this show, so I mean, there's got to be pictures of me unless they just shot all around me.
I thought you were the one taking pictures.
No, this is their side.
Hi, I'm Squirrel Girl. Anyway. No, excuse me. That was wrong. I apologize. Hi, I'm Squirrel Girl. That's probably closer. Just a flesh wound. Big head Destro.
There's Eric.
I have an orange R on my chest. That's cool.
Yeah, Eric set up.
Yeah.
Where's me? Where am I? Ain't that about a bitch?
It's obvious they've tucked Eric into a corner.
Well, see that right there? That green and black tablecloth?
Yeah.
I'm right next to
you.
Eric. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, they decided his display had more stuff to look at.
Yeah, I guess. Huh? Oh, well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I see how it is.
Oh, that's not Squirrel Girl at all. It looks like a little fairy princess girl. Excuse me. Little fairy princess girl.
And at this show, you were allowed.
Is that a painting of Jerry Springer in the background?
No, I don't know what that is.
No.
At this show, I was able.
And you know, I bring a painting of my grandfather with me to every show. I think he's good luck. Oh, there you go. The master. Scott Rosenau.
Yep.
Guest appearance. Poof. Another guest appearance. Some guy with jack legs. There we go. That man was dressed as a Yeti from Star Wars.
They got Aaron. They talk about him at Last Call Comics, but no me. Nice.
I don't know what to tell you there, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't do the show. Hello, it's a giant picture of Willy Wonka. Perfect for your living room. You know what I got the other day from Joe? Joe had it painted. That's amazing. He found some guy, I think it was in Mexico, that does black velvet paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And he had him paint a see-through baby from the first picture or the first frame from the see-through baby HeroBot story.
Okay.
Where she's wandering through Flint. It's amazing. I should pull that up and show it to you. It's really impressive. What?
That was Trico. He sent a message, but it was for his wife. Oh. So I gotta.
Was it? Hello, honey. And Monica just walked downstairs. So any ancillary noises is her playing with the laundry.
All right. Yeah, I don't know, man. They didn't put me.
There she goes. Hello.
Hello.
You're on camera. Just wave. Stop in. There she is.
That guy was playing $250 a hit.
Cool. We'll never do that. No. Did you hear?
Yeah.
I started watching slot videos, and now she's hooked. There are people out there that have entire YouTube channels where they go in, and they have a selfie stick, and they plant it between their legs, aimed at the screen, and they play slots. And it's not just a couple guys who have slot channels. There's like a good 24 or so, at least, that I've stumbled across because they keep coming up on my recommended thing now. Ever since I mentioned that we hit the casino, boom, all of a sudden we get a bunch of slot channels. Now, I have no idea why they suddenly started recommending slingshot reaction videos. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those? The two people sitting a slingshot that goes, the little ball that goes up, that's shot into the air at the carnivals and that?
No, yeah, I've seen them, but I don't know why
they have reaction videos now all in a row, people screaming, oh! Some people find humor in that, especially when they get jerked around and it's summertime. It's summertime, and the living's easy.
As we're gonna sign off here in a little bit, and we can keep talking because I got a couple questions I want to ask you off air.
Off the
But,
air about people that we shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's what all the gossip's for. That's
We wait till we're off the air and we talk about all the stuff that's not fit to air publicly. All right. Well, thank everybody for listening in for a while. We appreciate it. And we will see everyone back here next Tuesday at 8 o'clock.
Well, hey, 9 o'clock. We try to do this once a week or so, just to just to catch each other up on news and give you something to watch. And if you enjoy it, tell your friends. Let's try to get that number up beyond 5 next week.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Thank you everybody for listening.
Thanks a lot. We'll see you.